the Esperanza 243. You are here to watch and or listen to me read a book out loud. It is a personal book, actually, called Aquatica. This is part... Hey everyone, you're watching the Esperanza 243. Today is another book reading day. Yay! Just one thing before I start going off with the recap of part 5. Just wanted to say that I'm really excited for April. So many things are going to be happening. 1, I'm going to be editing, and 2, I'm going to Indiana. As I previously stated in the update video. So let's get serious with Aquatica now. Now, if you all remember in part 5, ow, I think I just gave myself a paper cut. I believe in part 5, Garnette found this area above her underwater cave. That's somewhere in the park, as we've realized. Is this area where a group of men have been hiding some interesting things. And while, of course, she was able to be dry enough to step out of the tunnel that she found and search one of the crates, and it turns out that they have stuffed animals made of real fur and something heavy inside. What could that be? Which I never really did specify, but I did imply it. I'm not going to say anything about that, though. And then Garnette calls her cousin Marion through a shell, of course, and was beginning to drop the bomb about her birth mother. And that's actually kind of where we are. Of course, she did also tell her about, the whole thing about finding that cave area above the water. Let's start reading, shall we? How would you feel of having a cousin? Garnette chuckled. Marion was confused. I don't know. I guess I'd feel weird, considering we don't know any of our cousins. What are you getting at, Nettie? Mom had a sister. Oh gosh, really? She paused and gasped. Now that would explain the other woman and all the family photos. What family photos? Garnette asked abruptly. Uh-oh, from the sounds of it, I guess Mom hid it from you. A beat passed. Wait, what do you mean she had a sister? Wait, had? What happened to her? Garnette sighed, put down the extra shell, and switched hands with the shell she was using. Mom said she died soon after I was born. She hesitated. Marion, I'm your cousin. She closed her eyes and waited for something to happen. It stayed quiet for a while. You're my cousin? Marion felt scared. Wow! Wow! My cousin, you're my cousin! Wait! She paused. Who's your dad? Now this is what freaks me out. My dad is your dad. Our dad. I think. She let her head fall back and groaned. Patrick is not going to like this. Wow. Mom and Dad. Wait, my mom and your dad. What does that make Patrick, your cousin twice removed? I thought you knew. Don't you remember what happened a couple years after I was born? Patrick was adopted. Wow, I almost forgot about that, Marion whispered. She paused. So, what does that mean? Are you going to call her Mom or Aunt Katie? Oh, Marion, really? She switched hands with the shell again. She's the only person I've lived with my entire life as far as memory goes. I'd feel more awkward calling her Aunt Kaylee than Mom. She's practically my only role model as a mother. Well, what does that make me? I mean, sure, we're cousins, but do you really want to call me Cousin Marion instead of sister? Garnette giggled. I honestly don't know. I feel like I've been torn apart from you two. She sighed. Aunt and cousin. Meanwhile, I'm a mermaid trying to figure out whether my birth mom was adopted or not, and I'm sure Aunt Kaylee isn't going to tell me because Mom has been in her life almost entirely. I honestly don't know what to do, and I'm talking too fast, aren't I? She gasped as if she had said one entire sentence. She waited. The other end of the shell was quiet. Marion? You called her Aunt Kaylee. Garnette slowly gasped. No, Marion. Remain calm. Just because your sister is now your cousin doesn't mean you have to flip. She paused and tried to recollect what her cousin said. You think your mom was adopted? What made you think of that? She cried. Two people suddenly started banging from below and next to her apartment. She opened her apartment door and yelled out, Sorry! She closed the door and went back to her cousin. Sorry. Garnette giggled. I sure hope that will be the last time you'll be talking on your cell phone and shell phone like that. That time Marion giggled. It turned into laughter. Shell phone. Now that's hilarious. She sighed, brushing off the tension she had. Now what is all this about? You think your mom was adopted? When did this pop into your head? I was thinking before I went to bed last night. She heard Marion giggle, imagining how that worked. She told me quite a few things Mom and I had in common. She even told me that when they were kids, Mom had nightmares of the same thing. It was stormy and she saw this ship. Lightning struck it and the ship started sinking. She tried to swim toward it, but there was a man. A man that was far away from her in the opposite direction, I think. He tried calling her. She looked at him and realized he was saying something. The thunder and lightning drowned out his voice. The next thing she knew, a big wave hit her. She paused, wondering what her cousin was thinking. The thing is, the nightmare sounds like it's a memory of her past. The only way to find out is to ask Kaylee, but I'm too nervous to do that. I don't know what she'll say. You won't know until you try, Garnette. The worst that could happen is Mom saying she was adopted. Now, how weird would that feel? It would feel weird, but I don't think that's the worst that could happen. At that moment, the other shell she found vibrated and bubbled. Marion, could you hang on a second? The other shell is vibrating. Her cousin widened her eyes with surprise. Garnette put down the shell and picked up the other. Hello? Mom? Oh, I'm sorry. I must have the wrong shell, a man said. His voice sounded rather proper. I'm trying to reach someone at the beach near where you are. I received word that someone there has turned into a mermaid or merman recently. They were spotted yesterday afternoon. It's important for me to find the person. They may be a descendant of someone down here. Garnette gasped. I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone. Wait, maybe you can help me, she rushed. Is something the matter, dear? Can you not find your mother? She smiled faintly. That's not it. Do you know anyone who disappeared in the past 20 to 40 years? Or anyone who would have been thrown overboard in a past storm? I am sorry, no. Even though I'm quite young, my memory's not what it used to be. If you'd like, I can ask around and see if anyone remembers anything. That would be much helpful, sir. I would like that, thank you. The man, Ezra, paused. You wouldn't You wouldn't happen to know who this mermaid or merman is, would you? She hesitated before sighing.
I do, actually. I am busy at the moment, though. I was talking to someone on another shell.
The man was disappointed. Oh, I am sorry to disturb you. I'll leave you be. Thank you for helping. He said, Great. I finally get a lead, and the woman is busy. His Royal Highness is definitely not going to like that, he thought to himself. He put down the shell he communicated with and went back to his business. As that happened, Garnette put down her shell and took a deep breath. She let it out, and then squealed, although she wasn't sure which emotion she was squealing for, frustration or excitement. She picked up the other shell with her cousin on the other line.
Marion, are you still there?
There was no answer.
Marion?
At the same time she was talking to the merman, her cousin Marion was having trouble. A few moments after Garnette put down the shell, Marion heard weird noises coming from outside. She put down her shell and walked to a window in her apartment. She gasped, ran out of the apartment and down the stairs toward the parking lot. What she saw was someone in a tow truck taking her van.
What are you doing?
The man stopped the truck and looked at her. What does it look like I'm doing?
You're towing my van!
Her face looked frantic. You parked in an apartment complex, and according to the person in charge, you don't have an apartment here. If you want your van back, you'll have to come to the compound and get it. Sorry, no exceptions. She groaned and went looking for the person in charge as the man towed her van away. Marion found the woman in her office. The woman looked startled to see her.
May I help you? Yes, you may.
Did you call a tow truck to tow my van?
Yes, I did.
I know you slept in one of the apartments last night. I checked all my information and you're not allowed to move in. Someone is renting that room, and I will not allow anyone to stay there unless and until I see the woman who rented it.
Well, then you might as well let me stay, because you're looking at her.
The woman gasped.
You mean you're Marion O'Connell?
Marion nodded.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, I apologize. I wasn't expecting you until the end of the week. Oh dear, you might as well come with me.
She took her keys and walked out of the office with her new tenant. She locked her office.
I am so sorry. I should have come to the apartment to talk to you. Instead, I went and towed your van, which has the rest of your things, I bet. Oh dear.
Marion giggled. She couldn't help but shake her head in humor as the woman walked to her car and unlocked it. The woman acted as if she could be sued at any moment.
Please calm down. You didn't know. I should have come to you about the apartment. It was my fault for forgetting my scheduled time to come here. Oh gosh, just forget about the whole thing. Get in the car. We're going to the compound to get your van back. For this being my fault, I want to do this as a favor.
Marion opened her mouth.
Now, I will not let you talk me out of it. I'm paying the whole thing. It's my fault. Oh dear.
Since Marion wasn't answering her shell, Garnette decided to hang up and try calling her aunt through the same shell. She might as well try.
Mom, are you there? Aunt Kaylee, can you hear me?
Miss Tarleton had just arrived at her hotel room from the pool area. She fluffed her hair to let some of the chlorine water come out. One of the shells vibrated and bubbled. She could hear the bubbling and narrowed her brows in confusion. When she realized it was coming from the nightstand, she gasped and hurried to pick up the shell.
Hello, Garnette. Is that you, dear? Mom, you're there. Okay. Well, you will never believe what happened today. Did you get to talk to Marion? What does she think? I was right. She was pretty speechless and had the same questions I did when we talked about this. Anyways, that's not the only thing that happened.
She then told her the conversation with the merman and then what happened in the tunnel. Her aunt was about to stop her, but Garnette didn't want to know what she thought yet. Instead, she rushed off into what she really wanted to talk about, what she and Marion discussed about her birth mother.
I told her about the nightmare you told me. We really didn't discuss much.
Wow, you did have a busy day. She paused, but only for a second. You seemed pretty eager to change the subject to your mother. Is there something on your mind, dear? Something worrying you?
Garnette paused and sighed in regret. She's not going to like this. I just know she'll be heartbroken when I call her Aunt Kaylee, she thought to herself. There is Aunt Kaylee.
Her aunt silently gasped.
I've been thinking about Mom's nightmare. It sounds too much of a memory.
It stayed quiet as Kaylee looked around nervously, biting her lower lip.
I've been thinking about the nightmare too.
She was quiet again.
I don't know what it means. Do you have any ideas? Well, I have one, but I don't know if you'll get offended.
Speak your mind, Nettie.
I'm listening. How old was Mom when you first saw her? Was she a baby?
She waited as Miss Tarleton thought for a while.
Well, she was a few weeks old when I saw her. Our mother, your grandma, had to stay in the hospital a little longer. I don't remember why, but I assumed it was because of being in labor for so long. Does that help? Sort of. It certainly stops the idea I had,
she said.
Wait, if Mom was actually born into the family, then that means it could be genetic, she thought to herself. If only I knew how she died. Mom, do you know how she died?
She asked suddenly. Kaylee Tarleton thought on that question.
I wasn't there when she died, but the family kept saying it was suicide. I found that very suspicious. I still do. Even your father was suspicious with the suicide. Is it possible she died because of something the family doesn't want anyone to know?
She thought aloud.
I thought of that, but I wouldn't know where to start. Who in the family thought the suicide was suspicious?
Another interesting question. You're better at this than me. She and her niece giggled. Miss Tarleton thought for a bit.
Well, it was definitely our immediate family.
You know, everyone who lived at the house at the current time.
Some of my aunts and uncles thought it was suspicious. What I find odd is that your grandfather and grandmother, and quite a few of your great aunts and uncles, didn't find it hard to believe. They must have known. Do you have their numbers? Maybe you can call some of the relatives and find out if they know anything. It wouldn't hurt to ask. Oh dear, I don't know. I think it would hurt to ask. Sometime after she died, I pressed those questions a bit hard, and they gave me the cold shoulder. If I call them now and ask questions about your dear mother, they'll get suspicious. Come on, Aunt Kaylee. I know you can do it. If you end up getting the feeling they are becoming suspicious, just tell them what you told me. All those things that Mom and I have in common, they'll probably have an idea what's going on.
You're getting good, Garnette.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
She paused for a moment.
Now about this animal thing you told me.
Garnette sighed.
Aunt Kaylee, they need to be stopped, but I have no idea what to do. Marion suggested taking one, but that would tell the man someone's been there. I am not going to risk that and let them know there's a way into the ocean. That will lead them to running away when there's trouble.
Garnette, I know how you are when it comes to mysteries. You let this slide.
But this is my first real mystery. I want to solve it.
No, Garnette. You leave this alone. I don't want you hurt, and I certainly don't want you causing any mischief as they have. I want you to drop this. End of discussion. Garnette sighed once more.
Yes, Mom, I'll leave it alone. I better get going.
I want to try calling Marion and tell her about the conversation between me and the merman. Kaylee laughed. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll probably have some information by then. I have a lot of phone calls to my aunts and uncles.
Okay, I love you, Mom.
I love you too, Garnette. Miss Tarleton put down her shell and grabbed her purse. A tear rolled down her cheek. And that's where I'm going to stop. Whew. That is intense. Alright. Whew. Is it getting dramatic or what? And there's still a lot of the book left. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, I should say. Man, there's a whole bunch left. I think you guys are going to like the changes I made. And I sure hope you're enjoying the changes I've made already so far. Man, I didn't realize I'd be editing the book again. Actually I would, considering what I've learned last year. Anyways, I believe that is it. I will see you all in part 7. Woo! Part 7! So exciting. I bid you all adieu. This is the Esperanza 243, signing out. See you all. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night.